Well, it's February, and statistically, we usually have walked out of a movie before this.
Well, it's just funny how we talked about how we weren't going to walk out of movies. We hadn't at all last year.
You talked about it.
And we didn't walk out of movie 43. Our declaration was, if we didn't walk out of movie 43, we shouldn't be walking out of anything. Nothing's going to be worse than that.
Well,
famous last words.
But the thing is about Identity Thief is it's not that it's worse than movie 43. It's that movie 43 is so bad that you want to see how bad it's actually going to get. This is just a perfect example of another film that nobody put any real work into. It's just dull, dull, dull.
Yeah, well, okay, there is that, I don't want to see how bad it's going to get, because there comes that point where it's like, wow, I've charted where it's going to go, and it's possibly going to get worse. Matter of fact, it looks like it is, but not in any way that's fun or going to impress me.
Well, yeah, or just I can't believe they went there, the way movie 43 was. I can't believe they actually sank that low. Here it's just what are you going to say? I can't believe they did absolutely everything I predicted that was going to happen in this movie in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just... Everybody wants us to be funny. This is directed by Seth Gordon.
And I don't know why it wouldn't be funny. I mean, what isn't funny about having your identity stolen and your life ruined?
Well, that's the key problem. But
oh, wait. Nothing.
This is from the same guy who directed Horrible Bosses, which was, I thought, on the whole...
pretty good.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah. Oh, that was a great movie.
Also,
this is the same guy from Horrible Bosses?
Well, the same director, anyway.
Oh, wow.
Seth Gordon, you're like, okay, well, that's... just Jason Bateman appearing again. Right now, the co-star, Melissa McCarthy, obviously is,
she's got traction. Because I heard Jason Bateman interviewed about this, and the part was originally written for a guy.
Yeah.
And he saw her in Bridesmaids and just said, hey, this chick is funny. Snap her up right now before her price gets too big.
And I do think that Melissa McCarthy has something. She is funny, but unfortunately it's like they just said, you know what, just do whatever in every scene in here. And she just basically wails around and makes silly faces at the camera. Yeah, wails around.
I didn't say it, but that is basically the running joke isn't it funny how fat she is?
And yet the film at the same time wants you to find, the only way it can find any humanity in her at all is say, isn't it sad that people laugh at her for being fat?
It's no, because you just asked us to do the same thing. Fuck you. You don't get to have your cake and make her eat it too.
Nice. The premise here is Jason Bateman is Sandy Bigelow Patterson. Yes, we know it's a girl's name, except for Sandy Koufax. But that's the other running joke of the film. Hey, you got a girl's name. Oh, come on.
Yes, with all the unisex names in the world, really, that's the running joke. It's funny the first couple. Did I say funny? Because there's actually nothing funny about this movie.
It's not funny.
But it's there the first couple times.
It's there the first couple times,
You notice people saying it.
Yeah.
And you go, wow, that's a thing.
It's the first couple times that you don't go, okay, fucking stop that.
But he's got a wife, Amanda Peet, in a I don't even know why I'm here thankless role. 2 kids. He's a nice guy. He's just gotten his chance to move out from his old crappy job he used to have as an accountant for a big company to vice president of a new startup company. I mean, it's literally the first day when it turns out that someone, namely Melissa McCarthy, has figured out a way that's very, very implausible of stealing his identity and charging up thousands and thousands of dollars on credit cards and as well, breaking the law, being on the run, a fugitive from a bail jumper.
Yeah, abuses from justice and from Colombian drug dealers.
Which is
why not?
Okay, sure. Because apparently,
well, okay, she's in Florida, so they're Cuban drug dealers.
Cuban drug dealers are in the habit of buying a few credit cards, stolen credit cards from big fat girls with no real crime
She's like the Avon lady,
organizations.
but instead of makeup, it's stolen credit cards.
Yeah, it's like what self-respecting mobster would ever buy credit cards without checking them first?
What mobster would actually go through the trouble of putting a hit on you over credit cards?
And what mob would go through all the trouble of hiring T.I. as a hitman?
Well, but we're making a mistake. See, the film doesn't want us to think about things on that level, because when Jason Bateman goes to the police and goes look, what are we going to do? We got to, obviously you got to do something about this. It's going to ruin my job. I can't keep my job if this happens. It's going to ruin all my credit and everything. So you know where she is. I even know where she's going to be. Go pick her up. And they're like, oh, well, the law doesn't work that way. Yes, it does.
This movie will make you hate cops as much as Leon hates cops.
We were sitting next to a friend of ours who was a lawyer who started violently shaking during this sequence when the cops are explaining why they can't do anything.
Now I feel, because I wanted him here to talk to him about this.
No, he says, I asked him, I was like, is any of this even mildly true? He's like, fuck no. The feds would have been involved in 2 seconds.
And that's what pisses me off, is they never even mention feds. He's like, well, I can tell you exactly where she's going to be tomorrow. Can you at least call Florida PD and tell them to pick her up? No, we can't do that. What? Fuck you, you can't do that.
And the thing is, like, I'm the first one to talk about how lazy cops are and they won't do anything and they're ineffectual. But even I had to go like, this is outside the box.
Yeah.
This is too much.
That's, you know what? I mean, it's a lot of cliches there, but this old chestnut was a little too much.
Morris Chestnut
in
Okay.
It's another guy who's just in the film because apparently he had nothing else to do that day.
Well, they canceled
in
V,
LA.
so what else?
Yeah, exactly. So Jason Bateman decides, I'm going to fly.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to take this.
Oh, go ahead.
Because they go like, yeah, there's nothing we can do. And his buddy, who convinced him to come work for the company, is like, dude, we got to fire you if your credit is shit. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, however, what if I can go get her to come here and admit everything that the police have already just proven to you, and get her to confess on tape to the police? Then we can get this solved. And the police don't go, that'd be kidnapping.
Yeah.
They say, sure.
Wow, yeah, that would work.
Yeah, that'd be totally cool.
Are you sure that that policeman isn't somebody who stole the identity of a real policeman?
Okay, listen up, screenwriter. I don't mind that you're an idiot, but don't assume that I'm an idiot. That's my biggest problem. Like, the whole time I'm sitting there with both middle fingers in the air going, no, I don't buy this, and the fact that you think I would means that you think I'm an idiot.
Okay, so, like, let's, we go, all right, screenwriter, we accept that a lot of people going to see these movies maybe aren't the brightest bulbs in the house.
Not looking for
They're
reality.
not looking for reality. They just want an easy escape. Okay. I still insist that this is, no matter what case we're talking about, this is too implausible to buy into. But let's say we do.
Yeah.
And Jason Bateman goes down to Florida to find Melissa McCarthy and try and basically abduct her and bring her back up, right? So you would think there has to be some extenuating circumstances for this to be a buddy road trip movie.
Sure, because they can't fly back, so yeah, it turns into a road trip.
Yeah, like something like Midnight Run, where they don't get along at first, but eventually they find a connection because it turns out like they have more in common than they thought.
Right.
Except none of that is actually true. She is a horrible, horrible person in every way, shape, and form.
Can I just throw out one more enormous plot hole here? The reason they have to drive instead of fly is because Melissa McCarthy goes, oh, but wait, both of our IDs say Sandy Bigelow Patterson. Homeland Security's not going to like that. After he throws a bucket of IDs on the floor for her that have 1,000 different names, it's like, oh shit, there's nothing we can do. Are you kidding me? Are you not watching the movie? Because you're forcing me to.
I get there's so many moments like that. You're just like, I can't even bring myself to get upset about that because of all the stuff that was even worse that already happened before. But it's just a series of those. And like I said, if they had found a way to make Melissa McCarthy's character likable outside of just a flummoxed dumbass who like punches everybody in the throat and then kicks them in the balls and falls on the floor like a turtle that can't get up off its back every once in a while and constantly has fat jokes made at her expense. If there was anything to like, I would have given the movie something. At least I would have stayed till the credits. But wow, she is such an enormous bitch.
She's like Chris Farley without the subtlety.
Well, the thing is, I found that my biggest fear going into this was that it would be the Melissa McCarthy show where they would just tell her to ad-lib and she would ham it up as much as possible to a ridiculous Will Ferrellian amount. And if anything, I felt like she was held back because there was just nothing there. And she didn't really know how to play it. She had like maybe 2-3 gimmicks that she did over and over because there was nothing else. Like maybe even she knew, like, I'm sorry, I got nothing for you guys. You got to give me something. But even worse on this is Jason Bateman, because I kind of wanted to see it because of Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
As I sat here watching it, I thought I reconstructed that. I was like, deconstructed it. I was like, why did I feel that way? Because Jason Bateman, as much as we like him, he plays that same fucking character in everything. He's the same. I remember it made me think, like, that's why I didn't start watching Arrested Development, because I started from the first episode, and I was like, oh, he's doing this again. And then he does it in Hancock, and he does it in Horrible Bosses. And here he is. He's that same straight man with the same tics, always over and over. He's flummoxed by everything. He's completely ineffectual. He kind of talks to himself through as things are going on, but never is proactive enough to get shit done. And it's annoying after a while.
Yeah, I mean, not just in this film, but in his career.
Yeah.
But, here is...
Clearly, he's not effective enough to get a different movie.
No.
Tell his agent, no, I don't want to do that.
Well, he's just... maybe he's just tired of becoming... Like, he doesn't want to become obscure again. He's like, shit, I went through 20 years
Oh,
of that.
absolutely.
I do not want to fall back into that. I will do whatever you guys tell me is best for my career. And I'm telling you, Jason Bateman, the best thing for your career is stop playing these fucking roles. Try and stretch out. Do something different. You are funny. You are likable.
Yeah. Teen Wolf 3?
He
actually credits that with killing his career. And it was his dad who produced it.
Well, it's just the second one, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, Teen Wolf 2. Yeah.
But, I mean, at this point, this is the worst possible example. This is just tired writing. It's him playing that role where he's supposed to be playing a smart guy, and yet he's a blithering idiot. He does things no human being would ever do. He reacts in ways no one would ever react in order to keep up that stoic Jason Bateman-ish type character we've seen so many times before. I mean, really... I would have brought a stun gun along at the very least.
Absolutely.
Hey, if the cop said I can kidnap her, fuck her. I'm going to stun her, hog tie her, throw her in the back of the car, and drive back. Well, why do we go through all of this other stuff?
I would have stunned and let the drug dealers kill her.
Well, then you're going to have a year of dealing with all your shit, according to the movie's logic.
This is true. And at one point in the film, she's in a car that flips. And there was a part of me, and that part was all of me, that was hoping she had died.
Yeah,
this is our main character.
I leaned over to Leon and was like, God, I hope she's dead. And he's like, fuck, I hope she's like liquefied.
Because otherwise she'll just form back together like Robert Patrick, who's also in the van.
Yeah, Robert Patrick, who has a minor role as a bounty hunter who's sent out after her as well. There's a lot of actually decent people that I normally love to see who have those type of roles. Jon Favreau has a small role in here that's thankless.
Small role? That guy's fucking huge.
Well,
he's like 400 pounds. Man, does his weight fluctuate?
Yeah, he bounces around more than
Was that
Peter
Jon
Jackson.
Favreau?
It was.
I was actually about to compliment Melissa McCarthy for playing the giant former boss, but
like I said, Morris Chestnut, John Cho is in this. Robert Patrick, Eric Stone Street has one of the things that you just never ever want to see. Do you really want to see him and Melissa McCarthy having loud sex?
Oh God!
Well, if they're having sex with each other, then they can't have sex with anybody else.
You know what?
Wow. It's like a eugenics argument.
Can't we just freeze her in carbonite? I don't know. Leon and I left this film like in a sort of, come on, man. And this was you prompting me, and I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
It's funny because I did expect a little resistance from you. But the minute I said it, it's like it kicked your brain off. You're like, oh, like my God, yes, let's leave.
And that was at the 70-minute mark. Now, Brian here made it to about, past the 90-minute mark?
Past the 90. And it's funny because when you guys, I was like, you're going to leave me. It was, we
were trying to pull you with us.
It wasn't a press screening anymore. It was a fucking tontine. It was like, who's going to be the last one standing? And I made it all the way to the point where they actually try to pull like, oh, but here's the softer face of identity theft. Oh, she's really sweet and they're bonding. Oh, he realizes that she has things to do. I'm like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, I'm out. And I was like, no, I'm done.
And for me, often when I walk out of comedies like this, that's usually the tipping point. I mean, one is it's not funny.
Yeah.
Two, what jokes there are obnoxious and just low-hanging fruit. But the third element, the one that pushes it over, is when they take a character who's a complete reprobate and a sociopath, and they try to go like, oh, but they have this sweet side. But they like kids. Oh, but they're willing to do a good thing. They have a good heart inside.
Yeah, there's a sequence in here where she's crying, and that's the first time you're supposed to see a human side of her. Crying over bullshit, quite frankly.
Yes.
And I go, good. You'll get to do a lot more of that in the next 30 years in your small jail cell where you fucking belong, you sociopathic cunt.
And they go to such lengths to show you how she's destroyed his life.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, why is that funny? That this perfectly upstanding, like, the best moment of the film is him with his kids at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. And then immediately after that, he loses everything because of her. And that's still supposed to be funny. And then we're also supposed to buy that they're bonding. And I'm like, no, fuck you.
And what kind of hero's journey is this supposed to be anyway? I mean, usually it starts with a character who's supposed to be flawed in some level. It's obvious what they're missing. Hey man, he got his shit together. He's on a great road. Everything seems terrific. And the movie wants to sell you this lame bill of lading that says, oh, well, you know what? He never really had an adventure before. So he's thankful to her for showing her that life is about more than just making $250,000 a year, having a beautiful wife and two kids that don't both love you very much and having a rewarding life.
Exactly. Yeah. He got taught that he was living life incorrectly by being a responsible husband and father. Jesus.
Yeah, it's like, thank you for teaching me petty crimes. I really appreciate that. Now my life is complete.
But but Cyrus, you did some research and found out about the writer of
I
this.
did. Well, I found out about the director, Seth Gordon, who, of course, like I said, has done some good stuff before. In fact, he has quite a lot of stuff he's done that was pretty good. But here's the interesting thing. In 2009, he developed and directed a video series focusing on the threat posed by cybercrime to internet users called H-Commerce, the Business of Hacking You, sponsored by antivirus software company McAfee.
You gotta be fucking kidding
Now,
me.
I'm sure a less cynical...
The plot thickens.
I'm sure a less cynical person will go like, well, I'm sure that's just where they got the idea for filming this movie. The reality of the situation is probably more like they're like, hey, yeah, we'll put in money into this film. This will be good for our company. Now, you don't really need a script. Just, whatever.
And the worst part of that is they failed because the way she gets his identity in the first place is she calls posing as an identity protection service.
You can't even trust McAfee.
So, yeah, it's like, okay, so McAfee just called me and told me that my identity had been stolen, so I gave them information, and then they stole my identity. McAfee.
Honestly, the only thing you could really learn out of this movie that's any use at all is if you're dumb enough to, like, just sight unseen, give somebody who calls you on the phone or sends you an email all your vital information. You do admittedly kind of deserve to get your shit stolen from you at that point.
I'm sorry.
You're that dumb in this day and age.
I can never go so far as to say you deserve that.
Okay, not deserve it, but you know what? Somebody needs to smack your hand and say, no, you need to wake up to how reality works.
They should sit you down and make you watch this whole movie from beginning to end.
You know what?
Yes.
Maybe there is something good about this
Punishment.
film.
It's like, I'm sorry, could I go ahead and get that smack on the head?
Yeah, seriously. And this movie is actually quite fitting because it doesn't earn any laughs. It doesn't earn any of our sympathies. It just expects to get it anyway. Much like Melissa McCarthy doesn't earn anything she gets.
No,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, 70 minutes of not getting a single laugh and being insulted, 6 ways from Sunday. It's like, all right, I cannot take this.
I did laugh at one point when he was so exasperated with her constant lies to people wherever they went that made him look bad, which baffled me why he didn't just tune in and go like, no, she's a criminal and I'm carting her across country.
Right.
Instead of just sitting there and letting her elaborate on her stories of why he has no penis and yada yada.
No, he's right. I put on a little bit of weight because of all the stress. Walter's a fireman.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. He had a pretty intense
She doesn't care.
accident last year, and he injured his male parts. They're just shredded down there. And now he can't work. He wants to fight fires, and he wants to be standing up. Don't you want to be standing up? I know you do, but he can't.
Just bring 2 soups.
Where he finally has it, but exhaustingly explains to the hotel clerk that she was like, what was it? She was a mentally retarded circus clown, something like that. Like, it was just this long string of invectives. I was like, okay, that was mildly funny. But you know what? At this point, wouldn't you be even more exhausted with her than that? Wouldn't you have just had it and said, fuck it, I'm going to burn her eyes with cigarette butts?
Yeah.
Probably.
This movie is an infected hemorrhoid.
It strains your ability to have tolerance. You're like, there's no way you could be Kwai Chang Caine, and there's no way you could stand to just be around her without giving her a fucking karate kick in the throat.
Yeah,
It made me hate white people, I know that.
I wasn't even looking at it that way. I was just
No,
like, these people are idiots.
They don't represent me. I just want to say right now. Like, if you're a person of color out there and you see this movie, you're like, fucking white people. They're not me. Now, I'll cop to the families in the Paranormal Activity movies. Yes, we really do actually go and say, wow, that house is haunted? Great, let's spend the night there. Yes, we are that stupid. But this is not us.
The people in this movie don't resemble any white people, anybody, any humans that I have ever met in my life.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say it. This movie is indeed a fuck you. Please don't see this movie. Please don't even discuss this movie with your friends in some sort of way of like, should we see it? Shouldn't we see it? The answer is no. The answer is go outside your local Cineplex, hold up a big middle finger to this theater and say, fuck you! Take identity theft out of your playline. Stop encouraging people to watch this kind of shit. Go see a great movie like Side Effects. What are you wasting your time with this? If you go see this, even if you come out of it hating it, which I know so many people will do this, they spend the money to go see the movie, going, well, I'm sure I'll hate it, but I just want to see it. Fuck you too! It's that money. That's why we're going to get like 3
that's
or
gonna
4
give us
movies
more of these.
this fucking terrible.
Yeah. My fear with this was that it would be another movie like Due Date, which prior to Due Date, I thought, wow, Zach Galifianakis and Robert Downey Jr., who was super hot at the time, and Hangover guys, this ought to be awesome. And it was so not.
It was mediocre as hell.
Oh, yeah, mediocre, if not worse. As a matter of fact, it was a bigger letdown because of all the potential it had.
Yeah.
But sitting here watching this, it made me wish I was watching Due Date all over again. Because I was like, wow, at least with that, there was something kind of interesting. Or just not pissing me off to this degree. Honestly, you know what I would say about this? Hugh Jackman had a scrotum on his neck.
Uh-huh.
I would watch that again 3 more times before I watched this.
Okay, just that segment, yes, agreed, but not the rest of that movie.
Man, I might even watch the whole movie. It's tough. This is absolutely a fuck you. It's close to being a double fuck you. Do we have a fuck you and a half?
Oh God, it's a low fuck you then. Okay,
I would
fair
rather suck down a giant Taco Bell 4th meal and have the midnight runs for 6 hours than have to finish this movie, first of all. And here's my final jab at this movie. For a film that thinks crime is so hilarious and how people getting ripped off is so hilarious, I really hope it gets pirated all to shit. And I want to see how funny they fucking think that is. Fuck you, Identity Thief.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, though. It's like the film tries to sell you the conceit that isn't this hysterical, the way this woman is ripping off this guy?
Yeah.
I mean, scene after scene, it's like, ha, that's so funny, the way she stole all this stuff from him. Wow, it really is not even mildly amusing in any way.
Not even a little bit.
It's scary, yeah, but if you wanted to make a film to scare us about identity thievery, why don't you actually make that film, which you could. There's plenty of examples of real identity theft that are pretty frightening. You don't make this shitty fucking, like, if anything, this makes you feel like you care less about it. Like, oh, that doesn't really happen.
It's the ultimate flag that Hollywood is completely detached from the average person.
Yeah.
Like, if this happened to any of these people, obviously they would have a team of lawyers to go after whoever ripped off their identity and everything would be fine. So they think middle America is going to find it funny when the average person gets robbed. Like, no, you've completely lost touch. Crawl up your own ass and die.
Always end on a joke.
I don't know what to say after that. You're like, crawl up your own ass and die. Jason Bateman, crawl up your own ass and die. Melissa McCarthy, crawl up your own ass and die. There's plenty of room.
Oh!